again. Today we're gonna be seeing a practical deep dive into LLMs, RAGs, and fine-tuning techniques of generative AI. So yeah, let's go into the session. So it's a brief hello from myself and Aishwarya. So we have done that. So let's. So before going into the session, we wanted to have a temperature check about like about to know the participants here out here. So can for folks raise your hands in Zoom if you haven't used or interacted with LLMs or ChatGPT before. One hand, two hands, three. Oh, it's a pretty good number. No problem. We'll help you with that. Uh, So next, you haven't like you have some idea about prompt engineering. What is prompt engineering? And you have type in prompts to interact, things like that. Can people raise your hands if you have done that? We have six hands. Good. So yeah. So So then raise your hands if you have a fairly good idea about LLMs, like what is LLMs and things like that. Okay, yeah, two hands. Three. Okay, there are three people here, two people here who has raised their hands. That's good. So then you have experience in developing LLMs applications. Yeah, please raise your hands. Okay, I see no one. Yeah, we'll help you out for that. So that's what the session is going to be. So so the workshop goals and outcomes that you can expect here is so to possess a solid grasp of what is generative AI and the history of that, then you will be able to attain a good knowledge about Hugging Face models. Then you will be having you'll be able to get a clear understanding of LLMs and parts of it. And as the fourth outcome, you will be acquiring a knowledge about the LLM solution strategies like RAG and fine tuning, etc. So these are all the outcomes that you will get out of this workshop. So yeah, let's directly dive into the workshop, folks. So yeah, what is generative AI? So generative AI is a very um, a largely spoken term in the recent past, and everyone would have the curiosity of what is generative AI and things like that. And many people out here have raised your hands that you know about generative AI and prompt engineering and things like that. So generative AI is nothing but is one of the artificial intelligence technology where it can be used to generate contents. So with the generative models, it enables user to generate contents. They generated own contents like text, images, voice, etc. and etc. With the help of the data that it is trained with. So that is generative AI in general. So generative AI is not the overnight wonder. Like it has its own past. We had to do many developments. We have to do many developments to reach at the point where we have reached here for generative AI to reach GPT. So the path to GPT is first we had um, Al- Alan Turing talking about AI and ML, and then we had pattern matching algorithms followed by um, nature human chat with interesting and humorous manner chat that was released in 1981, followed by IBM Watson's in Discovery. Then GPT-1 was released in 2018, which was a big break. Then we had Google's BERT, which they where they introduced transformers and things like that, which was the main baseline for GPT that we have. Then we had 2000 at 2019 we had GPT-3 released. Then we had other uh, open source models that were releasing coming up, followed by Llama, Lambda, and DALI, things like that. So this was the path to GPT with in terms of timeline with AI. So generative AI, as I said, is not an overnight wonder. It's a very big subset of AI. So it first as an overhead first comes AI. Then you can if you dig deeper, it's ML, and if you dig much deeper, then it's DL. Then only generative AI comes. So generative AI uses deep learning models to train and to make it understandable enough. So that is about generative AI. So as I said, generative AI can be used to generate different contents like text, images, audios, and videos, etc. These are some open source. These are some openly available generative AI tools out there here. So some of the text-based generative AI tools like Chat GPT's Bard and Edge, image tools like Midjourney, ClipDrop, and DALI, audio tools like Bark and Suno AI and Levin Labs, and some code generation tools like Copilot and Code Whisperer and things like that. I think many people would have used Chat GPT and code-based tools out here like Copilot and things like that. If you haven't used your, I would recommend you to use it is a very good assistant for your code journey. Then it's video based video generating tools like Synthesia. So we have wide range of generative AI tools that have come up to the market after the generative AI boom that we came in the 2022 after the introduction of GPT. So everyone would have known about GPT-3 and how it has been done. But GPT-3 is just the starting point, after which you have got so many foundation models. So foundation models like GPT Neo, Cohere, Palm by like GPT. So generative AI is not by OpenAI. There are many forefront leaders, industry leaders have come together to generate their own models. Uh, them like we have Llama, GPT-4, Chat GPT. So Chat GPT was the breakthrough, but we had continuously coming up with other generative models in the consecutive timeline. So this is about GPTs. Yeah, over to Aishwarya.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Janani. So, Janani, can I share screen? Yeah, sharing my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Oh, we are seeing a blank white.
Let's cool. Starting off. So basically, like if you see, as Jenny mentioned, like there are these deep learning models that have been used to develop the generative AI, the boom that we discussed just now. So what do you think would be the money and the time scale that would have been involved in this? Requesting folks to just add their points.
Hey, folks, someone wants to take a guess.
Yeah, just a guess. Doesn't need to be right. You can just have a guess.
Good morning, guys. Ganesh here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Ganesh, please go ahead.
Yes. Uh, it takes a lot of time and effort to get the data for this training and the resources. I mean, the GPU power uh, to run these models. So this is going to cost a lot of fortune.
Yeah, that's right. And also, like we build the models using different frameworks, and if we want to reuse it, how do we do that? Any idea about that? Yeah, come on, folks who raised hands.
So
Yeah.
far, we are getting only into that mostly into text to we are getting into the LLM models. So we are getting into this through search. I mean, text only, text prompts. Uh, Other than that, I don't have an idea. I mean, by standardization, what do you mean? The standardization on training the models or the way the models works? I don't understand.
Yeah, actually, standardization, what I mean here is like we build models in different frameworks, right? Like TensorFlow, like PyTorch, and if we want to extend it for to other frameworks also, how do we do it? Is what I meant.
I see some answers in chat as well.
Just going through it. Yeah, we do train via data sets. That's right. We used to create standard models. So let's assume that we want to make some changes to the model. So if we want to keep it generalized and in that way, like how do we do that?
So you're saying we need to make some changes on the foundational model?
Yeah, that's kind of thing. Maybe some specific use case has come and we need to tailor it to that use case.
I think in that case, we need to change the parameters. There are a lot of other things that we need to change in the deep learning network and then retrain the model again with the same context um, to be used in that custom usage scenario.
Yeah, that's right. So we need to retrain it using transfer learning or something like that, and get a more advanced model. So if we want like pre-trained models which we can use something specific to, like where do we get it from? What are the sources that that provide pre-trained models?
So there are certain repositories like Hugging Face. Then there are LangChain models available. Of course, there are GitHub repositories as well where you would find the models. So these models range from like some megabytes to gigabyte size as well. So it depends upon how much parameters you want, how many parameters you want to have. So more parameters would mean bigger model, and of course it depends what kind of classification and all scenarios that you want to tackle.
That's right. Yeah, that's where we are coming next. So we're coming to Hugging Face. So let's go through like what Hugging Face is and what basic features it provides and how we can use it to use it to our convenience to train models to view the existing models or to we know that ChatGPT and other models are available, right? But as we can see that it is a kind of it is kind of a third party, right? If we want to tailor it to our own use cases, we want specific models that we can that are already trained and which we can use it on our own network instead of using open API or some APIs. So we can do that. So that's where Hugging Face comes in. It is a kind of like a GitHub for ML. So let me go to Hugging Face. Yeah, so this is the huggingface.co is the website for it, and we can see like lot of things are being provided here. If we go into models, we are able to see that there are about 4 lakh models. So I think like 2 months ago it was 2 lakh models, and now it's 4 lakh models. So models are growing, and Hugging Face has a very big enthusiastic community that is contributing using models, using data sets, and all of it. And if we see like there are different options for us, so we can select like different use cases. So let's say like something text to image, and we have various models for it that are supporting text to image translation. So let me go into the first model just to show an example of what it looks like inside the data set description. So there are 3 things that we need to like keep in model while we are exploring the models. So the first thing is how to use the model. So we are able to see like from the usage they are giving us the various packages that we need, and also like the code examples that we can use to directly use the model. So we are able to see here stability AI / stable diffusion is the model, and they are directly passing this model ID, and Hugging Face will be able to pull this model since it's kind of a it works on Git only, and Hugging Face has the has the kind of abstraction that makes it very easy for us. Like we can just import a model and run it in just 3 lines, as we can see from here, and it's very simple. So we just need to take the model's name and pass it. So we're able to see the usage from here, and also the second point that we have to notice how to execute this. So in here for this model we don't have the inference API, but has been turned off for this. So for major of the models we have the inference API here, which we can directly use to like pass an input and see the output directly from here itself. We'll see an example for text to text after this data set, sorry, model description. So yeah, and another important thing is we should see the labels that are attached to this. So we're able to see that this is a text to image, and it's a diffuser, which means it's text to image translation. And we'll also able to see the licenses that are associated with this model. So licensed models we would prefer, right? Because we shouldn't use like very public models that might expose our data in case we are working with private data. So those kind of things have to be kept in mind. And Hugging Face has a very good community, and here as well we're able to see like the community and all the discussions that are going on. We can use all of this to decide which model we want to select for our use case. And over here itself we'll be able to see all the file system of the model repo from here itself. So pausing here for any questions.
Can we get a thumbs up if we are good, folks?
Cool. Yeah, moving forward. So next thing we're going to see is the data sets. So there are more than like as you can see 81,000 data sets that are available on the Hugging Face website. So we can here as well we can filter it using, okay, I was about to show one text to text in models. I'll quickly finish that and then start here. Yeah, text to text generation, and I'll go into one model. Okay, here as well inference API is not available. Maybe flan. Yeah, so here we can see like we can ask any question over here, and the inference API provides the direct results here itself. If I just hit compute, it just gives temperature which I'm asking, the boiling point which I'm asking for. So this can be a very useful feature while trying to evaluate the models that we want to use for us. And this model has a lot of labels as well, which is interesting. You can explore it on your own time. So this mentions that it can be used in all of the frameworks like JAX, TensorFlow, and PyTorch, and all of it. So yeah, it's all to you to explore more on it. And now moving on to data sets. So there are like 81,000 data sets available here. And here as well, we can filter it using the use cases. Sultan has a question. Is that like we can use the model as preview before using it? Yeah, that's right. So we can just like the model is running in the background using the inference API, and we can just directly hit it using the inference API and see the response on how it is performing. Cool.
I have a question to ask. You said it is like last month it was 2 lakh, then it is rapidly grown to 4 lakhs. And on the left hand side, you say in the facet is given for it is into grouping of the functionality. And if you want to see what is the best model that is available on a particular category, what is the practice that you use?
It's like kind of yeah, we can see the likes there. I'm able to
Yeah, Ganesh, can you once go mute? Yeah.
hearing an echo. Okay, cool, that's fine. So we can see data sets which are there in text-to-text generation over here, and in each of the model, we'll be able to see the likes here. So if I go here, the downloads is one point that we can use. Not sure whether we can filter it using the downloads and all. Yeah, sort, trending, most likes. Yeah, here we can use to sort it, Ganesh. I hope that answers.
Yeah, this is more likely more like a community given feedback, but I'm interested in identifying the right model for right task.
Yeah, we can use different models and or the most downloaded or the most liked models, and then we can decide for ourselves like which suits best for us is something that I think we would have to decide for us.
Exactly, that is my
Um,
question. Since you said it is been exponentially growing, and 1 month 2 lakhs is a huge number, and we can't try out all those things on our own with our limited resources, as we discussed earlier. It takes a lot of resources to get even to try out something. So they have given some inference APIs to check that, but it is not available for all the models. So see, I probably know that you don't have the right answer, but I'm just trying to get a hint at what you have been practicing so far.
Right. Most of the times I do some trial and error methods only. So yeah, I'm not very sure about that. Maybe I'll get.
Ganesh, it's very similar to what we have in GitHub or Docker Hub. So when you go for any application image, or you try to find any certain framework for a particular application development, you rely on that, okay, which one is the most popular one, and of course, which has been more used by other people. Of course, in models scenario, you would have certain models which are paid as well. This is a community website, so that's why we always see the likes and downloads, and we rely on them to to decide, okay, which one we want to use. But for example, if you go for a chat GPT transformers model, so that is a paid one. So there are paid models as well and community as well. So, but there is no fixed, I would say, a fixed answer that, okay, for a for this scenario, this model would work, because a scenario would have a lot of different parameters to choose from, and then you would have to decide upon on your scenario itself that, okay, this model fits the use case better, and this model is not giving that desired results. So there is no fixed answer to this actually.
Yeah, that answers me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Ankit. And thank you, Ganesh. So we have two questions in the chat. So Jyoti, we can contribute to the models which are here, since it's a community and it's hosted on GitHub. So we can contribute to it. But according to our use case is something I'm not sure about, because if we want it to be merged to their original model, then it has to be what they are expecting, right? So that thing alone, I'm not sure. So yeah, but we can contribute to the models which are there on GitHub.
Aishwarya, I have one question. When you say these baseline models, right, fundamental models, are these also created in a similar way like we do when we use them, like in TensorFlow or PyTorch? Or is it some like, I understand there is a lot of research behind this, there's a lot of algebra behind it, for example. So what normal or what or as from a developer perspective, what should I do to probably create a new model? So, or what should I need to know to create that model?
To create a model from scratch, you're asking, Ankit?
Yes.
Okay. To create a model from scratch, we'll have to know the deep learning techniques and all. And yeah, as you mentioned, like we'll have to use PyTorch and all of that and build it from scratch. The model architecture needs to be given, and also the data set, maybe we can take it from Hugging Face or some other source, and yeah, that is possible. And I'm not sure, like, am I missing something from your question?
No, that answers.
Yeah. Yeah, and to answer Rajan's question on chat, so the models are can be downloaded. So as I mentioned, like when I go into this data set, it gives us any data set or the models. Maybe I'll go into models. So when I go into any model, it gives us the code to take it on our local only. Maybe this doesn't give. Sure. I'll go to some text model only. Yeah. So if we go here, we'll be able to see the usage as I showed you from the first model. Yeah, we'll be coming to the so actually our hands-on and the demo consists of both. So we'll be taking models from Hugging Face, taking it on our like collab environment, downloading it, and then we'll be running it directly without any training or any like uh, any like very hard procedures. You can just directly use those models. So that will be coming to in our hands-on and the demo part. And to answer uh, the models would be stored in different kinds of extensions, like sometimes it is in pickle format, or the models which are trained, like they'll be saved in certain formats according to the what is it, the framework in which it is trained. So we would be getting it in that extension, but the Hugging Face will generalize it. We don't need to do any specific code to make it work and all. We can just use the name like Google/flan t5 base5, and pass the model name to our code, and it would work. So Hugging Face gives us very easy abstractions over it. I hope that
I have a
answers.
question regarding the standardization you said. Are these all these models are following the similar standard, or how they are organized? If you want to try a model, how should I mean? Yeah, of course, there will be a README document, but I'm trying to understand more about the foundation of that particular model, how it is standardized. Is there anything that you want to share?
That is an abstraction by Hugging Face. I'm not very sure about the details of it, but yeah, it's something that you can explore it also. Yeah.
What I'm asking is, if a set of models, I mean, there are a couple of models that are using TensorFlow and a couple of models that are using PyTorch. Are they having a same level of standardization? All the models that are in PyTorch use the same way of input, same way of processing. I'm just wondering.
That would differ. That would for each framework, it will differ between the input parameters, output parameters, and all of it. But Hugging Face provides us this framework where or the wrapper around it where we can like interact with it without doing anything specific. Like as we can see from here, this Google model, Flan T5 model has support for all of these, like PyTorch, TensorFlow, and JAX. So these are the three main frameworks that are being used, and it supports all three. So yeah, we can just directly interact with it using the code that we'll be discussing it during our demo and hands-on. We have it. I hope that answers, Ganesh. Moving forward. So next on to data sets. So yeah, there are a lot of data sets available, and as I mentioned before, we can sort it based on our requirements, and inside this we can see like what are all the data that is available, like an overview of the data and downloads and the tags associated with it, what it does, and also an important thing is like we can see here these many models have been trained on this data set. So that is a point to note. So doesn't mean like that this model is only trained on this data set, but this data set is also used for training of these models. So yeah. So like we can use data sets like as you all know, like we can use it to train or to fine tune it for our specific use cases. So this can be like Hugging Face is kind of hosting for these data sets. As you all know, like Kaggle is also another site where data sets are being specifically hosted, but Hugging Face adds the models also and spaces also to give an additional benefit to it. And it's also like connected to Git, so it's a community and we can contribute it to it as well. And yeah, this can be directly interacted with using the Hugging Face APIs.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
So this is a data set, right? You in here we see it's a train data set, right? One that's 518K, that's a train. And then any more? I think there are something like test and validation also.
Yeah, it should be there. But here only it shows train, so maybe this only has train data set.
Okay, so is this a standard, like, okay, all models, the data set for data set that are used for all the models will have a train and then test and validation? Is that the standard across all data sets?
It's not a standard base, since it's a community. Like there are certain things that are required, but think this is not something that is mandatory, because for this data set I see it has only train.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. Moving forward, so another important, like an impressive feature of Hugging Face is it has spaces. So we can try out different models, and spaces is kind of a kind of an UI interface for these models. So we can see the potential of the model using spaces. And you can as well like while if you are like uploading a model to Hugging Face, you can as well create a space, and it can be very easily done using there is this the radio and Streamlit packages which have been provided by Hugging Face. It gives out of box features to create a website very in very easy terms. And if you don't want to use the packages, you can also use HTML, CSS, and JS to create a simple website, and it will be embedded inside this space. So let me go into something. Maybe something ChatGPT free. Let's see what it is. Yeah, this is a kind of like they have developed a website for space for this, and this has been done by a user. So they have used some model, and they have created this space for us, where it gives the UI similar to ChatGPT, and it gives us the interaction with it. So we can directly like communicate with it and use it. So this can be a kind of like if you are like uploading a model to Hugging Face, and you want to showcase it, you want to put it in a portfolio. So this is a very good place to do it. So this is about the spaces. All good here, folks? Some thumbs up, please. Yeah, sure. Cool. Moving forward. So now we have seen Hugging Face and what it provides. So next, moving on to Transformers library, which is the most important library provided by Hugging Face. So this will be using it in our demo and hands-on as well. So it's a kind of like a GitHub repository, and they have very detailed courses as well to learn about Transformers. So what Transformers basically is it is kind of like provides various pre-trained models and the infrastructure and what to say, the abstraction to communicate with the models. So yeah, we can directly communicate with various models using the Transformers library. And these models can be applied to various use cases like text, images, audios, and all of it. And it is basically built on PyTorch, but we can also we also have the flexibility to use it with TensorFlow and the JAX library. So this is a flexibility provided by Hugging Face, and it gives very easy. Yeah, here we can see like there are a lot of examples, and we can directly communicate with the models in just 3 lines and get an output. So if we see here, Transformers library has this something called pipeline. So pipeline is basically it takes in the input data, it tokenizes it, and passes to the model and gets the output, and deserializes it. All of it happens inside this pipeline. So it is an overall abstraction over it. And here we can see like we are asking it to give us a sentiment analysis classifier. So these are some tags that we can pass to the pipeline. There is a detailed documentation for it on what you can pass into the pipeline. So since sentiment analysis is a keyword that we can pass to this pipeline, we are getting a sentiment analysis classifier. We are passing our prompt to it, and then we are getting the output. So this is the interacting the model is as simple as this with the Transformers library. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but yeah, just like we'll be going through this during the demo and the hands-on, so it will be easy for all of you. So we are able to see here, right? There are a lot of examples there where this Transformers library can be used, like NLP, CV, audio, and multimodal tasks as well. And there are a lot of examples provided by Transformers library, and this was initially developed from the paper which was like given by Google. Yeah, I think it's Google only. Yeah, it's a paper called Attention is All You Need, and they gave the Transformers architecture in that, and that was what is now like given us the boom today. And Janani was saying me the other day that while she was in college and she was studying the Transformers library, she didn't think that this would be such a big boom. But yeah, it did give a turning point in NLP and the way we interact with the large language models.
Hey, just wanted to know. So this transformer, the library, right? The pipeline, you are importing the pipeline, and in the pipeline you are providing what all data you need, right? What model you want to use. So basically, is it like you are introducing, doing a REST API call to the model that is there in the Hugging Face by using the data from your side?
So basically, like we are importing the pipeline, and we are asking it to give us the sentiment analysis model. So this will pull the model to our system, and then when we pass the the prompt to it, it runs it on our system itself.
Oh, it runs locally, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Unlike Open API, this doesn't like do API calls.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
This transformer, is it a model architecture, or I mean, what is the classification for this? Is this architecture of model, or just a type one model name as it?
No, actually, this is like a kind of, it does a lot of things like doing this pipeline work, and it has many features like tokenizing. It is based on the initial architecture, and it also like gives us all of this. Maybe Janani, you want to take up that question?
I
Yeah,
think we
so
can. Sorry, go ahead, please.
yeah, you can go ahead with your question. Maybe it helps me to
Yeah,
answer
sure.
better. Yeah.
Yes. So maybe is it something we can call it as a library?
Yes.
So your transformer is a library, but basically, is an architecture. So which is a base architecture with which actually we have generated many other models on top of it, like BERT and all. So the basic architecture below this BERT, GPT, everything is the transformers, which is a transformers base is another deep learning model called RNN. So yeah. So it's a model architecture which we have developed with the base deep learning models.
Yeah,
And
but here it is a
does it,
library.
But
sorry,
here, whatever Aishwarya is showing is the library, with which they have developed much more advanced use cases here.
okay.
But yeah,
And this library, I mean, I'm just trying to analyze it with.
I think he's not audible for me. Is it the same for
No,
everyone?
yeah, it's same for me as well.
Okay.
Ankit, we were not able to hear you in the middle.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. So I was trying to analyze, like drive a analogy with the application development library. So when you say a library, it means that it has certain number of frameworks associated with it, and then you would use one of them to fulfill your use case. Is it a similar scenario here as well in case of transformers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, but one more question on this. Does it support embeddings? Like when you mentioned that it would create some tokens and break the text into tokens and then do the sentiment analysis. So I am assuming that you're talking about the embeddings in this case.
Yeah, that's right. So that is totally abstracted from us, but it happens in the background.
Okay, so okay, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Cool then. So this is about the Transformers library. So next we have the demo and the hands-on. So I'll be sharing this collab notebook with you as well. So you can take a copy of it and then work on it. So maybe I'll quickly go through what contents are there in this and the tasks that we'll be doing for our hands-on. So this is a kind of like a hand what to say a kind of courseware kind of material where we have lot of examples that we can experiment with. So first like the first thing that we have to do, like if yeah, just a quick check, like how many of you are comfortable with collab? Quick show of hands. Okay, I think majority of you are new to collab. So maybe I'll quickly like go just explain the basic features and how you need to interact with collab. So collab is kind of a IPython notebook kind of thing, which is hosted by Google itself, and we can use it to run various models, and it provides us various runtimes like a CPU, GPU, and TPU as well, which is tensor processing unit, so that we can configure from here using runtimes. We have the change runtime option, and basically you will have to select T4 GPU so that it's fast for you, or you can also select A100 GPU, but it's not available for me. Maybe it requires a subscription. So you can all select T4 GPU while you are going to do the hands-on part. And just to give an overview, so this part gives us the table of contents, and these things which have an arrow mark are cells that we can use to run our Python code. And the above thing is a text field. So if we just hover between two cells, we'll see two options where we can create a code cell or a text cell. So if we create code cell, we can run Python. If we click on text, we'll be able to like create a markdown thing. Markdown is a format that we can use to like write text with some formatting. So but here like we have various options provided by Colab itself, but this is not provided in Python notebook. So here we can just click bold and it bolds us and it gives the text in bold. So these things can be done. And when coming to the code files, you will have to press Shift Enter to run a cell. Shift Enter runs the cell. You can edit it here and run it, and then it will give us the output. So after changing the runtime to T4 GPU, you will have to run this cell, so that we can just check that it is configured to GPU. So here I can see like it is T4 Tesla GPU that has been allocated for us, which makes like the execution much faster. And also like yeah, you can just scroll between these things. And one important thing that you can use is in runtime we have run all option. So as soon as you get you take a copy of this file, you can do run all, so that it runs all the cells in an order, so that saves us some time as well. So just going through like is everyone comfortable with Colab environment now, or anyone needs some help?
Can you also show how to copy the notebook? That would help you.
Yeah, sure. So you can go to file, save a copy in Drive, and it will create a copy. So just comes here. And then it says copy of Hugging Face, and you'll be able to run it. So this is your local copy. So like we have kept it so that the participants changes doesn't affect the other participants things. So you can just make a copy and work on it. So that's something you can do. And yeah, now going through like the steps that we have in this file. So we have the various packages that we need to install. So this Colab environment by default has a lot of packages. We don't need to install all of the packages, but here some of the packages are required out of the box, like for importing data sets, transformers library, and all of it. So we are installing it. So if we directly run it like without the exclamation, it considers it as a Python code. But if we give it an exclamation before, it considers it as a like command to be run on the shell. So this happens, and there is a message. Yeah, sure, Rajan. We'll be sharing it. Maybe I'll quickly put it in the chat.
Can you repeat the last thing that you mentioned?
Yeah, if we just if we directly specify this thing without an exclamation, this will be considered as a Python code and it will fail. So since we are like using this as a shell command, we are giving an exclamation before so that it will run it on the shell of this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I'll share the link of this. In the chat. Yeah, put it in the chat. Yeah, so after installing this, we are checking basically the Python version, just to check. And then yeah, Hugging Face introduction, we've gone through it. Hugging Face models, datasets, spaces, transformers library, everything we've gone through already. And we have like some 18 examples in this file, and the tasks will be based on these examples. And also the Hugging Face website. So you'll be like going to and fro between the Hugging Face website and the Collab notebook. So the tasks are so you'll have to go to this Collab notebook, take a copy of it, change the runtime environment to D4 GPU, and then the pip install you'll have to do, and you can like try out some examples from the file that is shared. And then the first task is to in the example 3, you can like change it to any model which is there in the Hugging Face website. So where to change is so in this file we have the first example, right? So here the model path is given. So here we are giving Google/flan T5 large. But we are able to see from the models website that we have a lot of models, right? So basically you can use a generic model. So text to text generation model you can use, and something like BART based Portuguese. No, it's Portuguese. Okay, let's not go to that. I think we can also filter using languages. Language English. And
Hey, can I quickly ask you, sorry to interrupt. So how do I copy that notebook to another copy so that I don't interrupt?
yeah, it's you can go into file, save a copy in Drive, and
Okay.
create it for you.
Okay, right. Thank you.
So you can browse through these models and take some model, the name of it alone, like Google/switch-C2048. You can use this name, similar to how we are using the flan T5 model, Google/flan T5 large. We are using this here. So here you can modify for the first task. And for the second task, you can try a different prompt, like pass a different question to the model, which is there in example 17. And then you can go through the spaces and create your own music using by giving some prompt. So this will be the hands-on. Any questions with the tasks? I hope everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I need to ask you again. How do you set this into T4 GPU?
Could you repeat that?
How do you set the environment to T4 GPU?
Yeah, inside this thing we have the runtime. And runtime we have change runtime type.
Okay, right. Thank you.
With this you can change it to T4 GPU.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So for the hands-on, we'll be splitting all of you into 5 people per room, and the instructors will be jumping in and off of the rooms, and we'll help you if you're stuck. So you can try it out. You can maybe quickly take a screenshot of this, or I'll share it in the chat only. It's not formatted properly, but yeah. Good. Is everyone on the same page with the hands-on exercise?
So basically we need to get the text-to-text generation model from the Hugging Face and use it. Try to give a different one.
Yeah. 3 tasks. Like the first one is text-to-text generation model, giving a different prompt, and then creating your own music with the space that is already available.
Do we have any common login for Hugging Face? I guess not everybody would be signed up for Hugging.
Hugging Face login is not required to run all of this.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Over to you, Anusha, to open the breakout rooms.
Sure. I see 27. I'll just create 6 breakout rooms. Is that okay, Aishwarya?
Yeah, that works. Yes.
3 to 4 participants per room. I'm just creating.
Yeah, sure.
You folks will be assigned automatically. So see you in the rooms then. Okay.
Requesting folks who are in the main room to join the breakout rooms.
Let me know in case you're facing some issues. I can move you folks as well.
We can move them in if you want.
Right, I'm just waiting because maybe if they have questions, they can ask and then go into the room, or else. Okay, then we can move them, Sejal. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I think Sultan has joined back to the main room. Sultan, you have a question? Okay, cool. Yeah, Anusha, maybe you can move folks.
Sure, yes.
No worries. So which room were you in?
Okay, let me just see. I'll move you back, Sultan, just a second.
Okay, maybe we can move between the rooms and see Janani.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
sure,
please go
Aishwarya.
ahead. I'll just move people around.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Ganesh, Gomati, are you folks facing any problem?
I think they're AFK.
I see. Okay. Manoj, you joined back to the main room. You have any questions or you got moved out of the breakout room?
No, I just moved out of the breakout room.
Let me try. Is it okay if I move you back?
Yeah, actually, is there any facilitator joining there for the
Yeah,
workshop? Yeah, okay. Then.
They're joining one by one. They'll join
Oh,
in 5 minutes.
fine, then fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I'll be getting some instructions here, so that's the reason I came back
Oh,
here.
okay. No. Hey, Sejal, just one thing. Can you join room one and maybe take a screenshot of?
Yes, I'll just rotate around and do that.
Yeah, sure. I'll just stay here in case someone joins. Yeah.
Anusha, there are folks who are just two in the breakout rooms. Should we just merge them with the other team, room number 4 or room?
Sorry, what is it? Okay.
So there are only two folks in room number 6. I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Uh, just do that. I was just thinking if Gomati, like other folks know here, actually they have been invited to join that room. But that should be okay.
Okay.
Feel free to do whatever suits. Fine. So anything like there anybody has any trouble or something? No.
No, they are all, they've shared their screens and they are.
We're doing it together. Okay. Hey, hi, Deepesh. You joined now? We're doing some hands-on. You want to join some? Shall I move you to some room so that you can also join together with the folks and work on it? Sejal, can you move Deepesh also to room 4?
I did. He needs to accept it, I think.
Okay. Okay, cool.
and what you explored out of it.
Yeah, that too works.
Yes. Any volunteers?
I can show mine.
Sure, Rajan.
I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I share it? Actually, I'm not so good in Zoom.
Do you see a share screen option?
Oh yeah, I do. I see that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I need to share the music also. Okay, I'll reshare it. The audio. Sorry, share sound. So you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just. I'm not able to see my. Please let me reshare it. Okay, please quickly.
No, we are able to see your screen.
No, I am actually not able to handle the browser. Browser is getting hidden inside this the Zoom button.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Now it should be fine. Hopefully. Okay. Now you see again, right?
Yes.
So our first task was in the example number 3. We need to change the model, right? We needed to change a model to a text-to-text model, right?
Yes.
So I went to Hugging Face and I do a search for the text-to-text generation model, and I found this model is one of the most liked model. So I
Okay.
took this up, and then I ran this cell, and then I got the output as well. There was no error in this.
Okay, cool.
And then for the 17th, right, there was another one. What is the 13th, right? What is the next one?
The next one is
17, right. 17, we need to give us different prompt. So in the 17, I executed this cell, and then okay, no, what I did is that okay, this is the prompt, right? The prompt was different. The initial prompt was like is the color of the signal is green or blue, something was there. So I sent it to ask this model, okay, what is the color of the signal? Then I got the answer as red. And then we looked into the image link also. And then we got that actually, yes, this is red. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So the image is this color is red, and output that we got is also right. It's a red only. And then what is the last one? Okay, we need to go to space and then need to generate a music. We went to spaces, music zen.
Okay.
And I gave this input, the prompt to describe your music as a play mridangam. Then went down here and generate it. And then when I play it, it's a kind of mridangam play only. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, nice, Rajan.
Yeah, okay, right. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
good work here.
Yeah, great work.
yeah, thank you everyone. So I'll stop my share, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Anyone else wants to showcase their learnings? It doesn't have to be an entire solution as well. You can just show like how much ever you've done also.
I can share.
Yeah, just one more showcase and then we'll move to the next.
Yeah, can I share?
Pallavi, yeah.
Sure, yes. I think Pallavi asked first and sorry, Sultan, maybe, yeah, we're running short of time soon.
Okay, I will show example 17. So I asked many questions like, is the signal red and others. So like I then it was actually, is the signal green? It was no. Then I asked like, what can you see in the image? So it showed like it is traffic lights. For the example number 3, that one I tried with various models, all these. So and I think due to memory full, it was taking much time. So I just stopped it. Then. Yeah. Maybe if I restart, I think it will uh, unfill all the memory, right?
Uh, Sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah. Like the memory was full due to many models loading, I think. So if I restart, it will be like the memory will be empty, right?
Yeah,
Will
that's
return.
in
Yeah.
runtime you have the restart option. You can do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Restart runtime, yes.
Okay. Restart. Yeah. Okay.
But you'll have to do the imports alone again. But
Yes.
the entire local variables would have been gone.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I found that like this was working fine, and when I tried, I think this one it was showing like not much correct, and these two were taking much time to load. It was like it was not successful. And also for the music, I tried with this one. So I don't know, I think I'll have to share music, but yeah, it was working. So
Yeah, nice.
yeah,
Thank you so much, Pallavi.
thank you.
Yeah, over to you, Anusha.
Yes, let's take a quick break, folks. So we have been here for, I think, 1 hour 45 minutes now. So let's take a quick break, maybe a 10-minute break. We'll be here by 11:58. Also, just one more thing, we will share across a feedback board. Feel free to add your thoughts on it, on what is going well, what do you want to improve, and so on in the meanwhile. So yeah, let's take a break and be back here by 11:58. Yes, thanks, folks. I'll share the feedback board across in the chat.
Anusha, 11:15 means like 25 minutes.
11:58.
Oh, 11:58. Okay. Sorry, I thought it was 20.
Okay, no, I may have mispronounced it, but yeah, I meant 11:58. Yes, Sejal has also shared the feedback form. Please do fill that as well. Thank you, folks.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Is the recording resume?
Yes, yes. Please
Yeah.
continue.
So now we'll go through like what basically an LLM is. So we all tried the different models, right? So those are all large language models. So they have been trained on very large data sets. Like uh, they are those models are pre-trained for like very like generic purposes as well as specific task based purposes. We were able to see it in the classification, right? So various examples include text classification, question answering, text to text generation, and all of it which you saw. And so these large data sets are used to create large neural networks. So can you imagine like GPT-3 is trained on 45 TB of data, terabytes of data, and it has like 175 billion parameters. So such big data set for GPT-3, and GPT-4 is even more larger and more advanced. But the um, the parameters are kept as a secret. It's not published. And it was trained on like 1024 GPUs. The chat GPT-3 was trained on 1024 GPUs. And so all of this is used to create an LLM. And we interact with the LLM using prompting. So we were able to ask questions, right? In the picture example, we were able to ask like, what is the color, what does it represent, and all of it. So those kind of things are done in the prompting, and the capabilities are such. Yes, Rajan has raised hand.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, so when you said that, okay, ChatGPT or OpenAI use this terabyte of data set to create the LLM, the model, and then you said that they had to use a huge number of parameters as well, right?
Yes.
So when you
So like the data set is different from the parameters. Parameters are the hyperparameters that they are tuned on.
okay,
And
can
and the data set is like what to say, the entire public data from the internet. They have used it.
And what would be the example of parameters? What is it? What they use for parameters?
Parameters can be like Janani, maybe you want to take that up.
Yeah. So parameters here are like each neural network will have weights. So whenever we what do you think we'll get when we use a pre-trained model? So we'll use the weights and then we'll reinitialize the weights and use it. So each weight vector here are the parameters of a model. So that is what we are training with data. So a parameter, as you said, the data set example is the text data or something like that. The parameters are weights of the each neurons present in the neural network.
Okay, all right. Probably there's more internal to the
Deep learning and
deep
things like
learning
that.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So here you can see the neural network, right? So for each connection, you will have a set of weights. So your complete neural network, you will when you try to bring in a pre-trained model, you will try to bring in the whole architecture versus the weights corresponding to each links of the neuron in the neural network.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, that's fine. I can explore it more, but I got an idea what could be this parameter be. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, please
sure.
go on.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashwin.
Yeah, cool. Over to you, Janani. Yes, you can share screen.
Sure. One second. Yes, so can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
A thumbs up. Okay. So right now we have seen about generative AI, the LLMs and things like that. So let's go into the solutioning strategies. So so we have few solutioning strategies that can be used to that where we can use our language models for a specific use case. So the first and the basic strategy that we will use is the directly using an out of the box pre-trained model, where we will just use the LLM with prompts. We can give LLM a prompt saying we'll use a generic foundation models, and then we'll give a prompt, and then we'll get a required output out of it. So this is the one level of using an LLM. The second way is to use is through a strategy called retrieved augmented generation. That is, you actually restrict. So through with the help of a foundation model, you restrict the response to a specific context. That is, you give a context to the LLM, and then you make sure that the LLM understands the context, and then it is trying to understand and generates the output that that is required from the prompt. So example, it can be anything like from let's say you give a document of the government schemas that the normal foundation LLMs will not have. Then what the RAG model will do is it will take the documents, like let's say in this example, a document of government schemas, and then it will try to answer a question taking that schema document as a context. So this is RAG basically. So let's deep dive much into RAG. So as I said, we'll have unstructured documents. It can be anything. So let's take we have a document, a text file. So what you will do is the goal will use that document as a context. We'll give that to LLM so that the LLM takes this as one of the context, and then it will try to combining this context and its knowledge in which it trains, it will try to give you a final response. So how does RAG in general works, right? It will take the unstructured documents. You will have something called an embedding LLM, which will helps you take the unstructured document with the is given to the embedding LLMs, and then it will try to give it will provide a document embeddings, and these embeddings are stored in the vector DB. It can be anything. It can be a Elasticsearch, Chroma, Postgres, any vector DB of your choice. And then what you will do is the user will give a prompt to it. So how does it works is the user will give a prompt, and then the prompt will be queried. The prompt and the vector DBs embeddings will find a similarity, and will do a semantic search with the prompt, and then we'll have the augmented prompt. That is the prompt together with the relevant documents, and the prompt and the relevant documents is given to the LLM, and then with this both, it will give the final response. I think this flow is here. I'll stop here for questions. Any questions?
Can you once again explain augmented prompt?
Okay, augmented prompt is like you will have both the relevant documents that is queried from the vector DB together with the prompt that is given by the user.
Okay.
So is it two different things? You said okay, augmented prompt or then RAG plus prompt. Are they two different or they are same?
They are different. So the user will give a similar prompt, like a prompt that the query that the user requires, the query that the user requires a solution for. So with that prompt, the we'll do a semantic search. in the vector DB, and we'll find the relevant documents, and then relevant documents and the initial prompt that the user gives, right? That will go to the LLM.
So the so the data that will go into the vector DB is generated from the prompt, or it is pre-generated vector DB. The second row that you said, right? Will be pre-generated. Then only people will start using prompt that is relevant to this documents.
Yes. So you will have unstructured documents. So we'll have the required documents, the whatever that the user requires. We'll have a separate database for it, a document database. That database, with the document database, you will convert it, undergoes its following steps, where it converts the documents as an embeddings, and then we'll have the document embeddings into the vector DB. So our LLM understands only vectors, right? It's a model that understands vectors. So we change the documents into embedding vectors, and then that gives to prompt.
So basically, this will be used for a targeted audience, right? For example, we know who is going to use this, and for those people, we'll be generating this vector DB with that relevant.
Yes. Yes. So as I said in the example before, we'll let's say you're creating an application where you want your user to query based on the government schemas. Then you will have all the documents related to the government schema, and then you will store the government schema documents as the embeddings, and make your model will leverage that vectors, and then it will try to produce a final response.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing few raise hands. Can people go one by one? Okay, I think Manoj Kumar, yes.
Yeah. The frameworks that you have given in this picture, right? Elasticsearch, OpenSearch, Pinecone. So each of this, are you meaning to say that each of these frameworks will follow this model, or what is the rationale behind this icons?
So the vector DB can be anything. So I'm giving an example of what all can be used as a vector database. These are all databases. We can use any database of our choice.
Okay, one another question is, how far it is differ from a data mining kind of a querying? Because that is also something similar to that, right? Because we are having data which is a preparatory one. Say, for example, for a company's sales information, we are putting it in some format in a DB, and using a semantic search, we are doing that, right? So is that somewhat similar to how we are querying a data mining kind of querying the huge database, or maybe
So yeah, retrieval augmented generation is not something new, right? We use for other models also. We are saying that that technique can be used here for generative AI, LLMs also, is what we are trying to say. I think, yeah, I think that answer your question.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Hey, can I add something? Probably that could be so that my understanding also be clear. So the DB, your previous question, right? The Elasticsearch, all these are vector DB. So basically, what I understood is that by default they are not vector DB, but there are plugins that made them as a vector DB, right?
DB. Yes. So then, wait, hold on. Yeah, Batmanabhan, you can go ahead.
Yes. So in this case, right, with this RAG and all, so if I'm planning to implement a chat GPT of my own, would it follow the same kind of a flow, or how would that look like for me?
So, chat GPT of your own is it like a foundation model?
Yeah, kind of with my own data that I want to. So, for example, you're giving the unstructured documents over there, right? I have my own set of documents.
Okay. Yeah. So the one thing of RAG is so I'll cover the disadvantages later. Maybe I'll just say you for your question. So RAG will work good only for small amount of documents. Like if ChatGPT is it's like it's covered with, as I should have mentioned, it's like so TB data, like so much TB of amount of data, and your RAG it has to retrieve from all the, so let's say your relevant document is so much, you will have so much similar documents that retrieving becomes more difficult. So for that, we'll recommend you to go for fine tuning. So RAG will usually work for small amount of specific data.
Can we say that I want to summarize a particular PDF or some document, and I want to do this with the help of this GPT? Is that what this RAG is about?
Summarization or any specific data, like if you let's say you don't want to train your LLM with if you want just your LLM to query from a document, that giving that document as a context will make your LLM to give your answers better, then you can do RAG. But if your LLM wants to understand specific terminologies and things like that, I think it's better if you go for fine tune. Like there are other techniques where you can do that.
Can't we do it like this way? For example, use the summarization model and then use this PDF as your whatever you are doing, right, as a RAG, and then ask the model to generate summarize this PDF using that summarization model, and then get output. Is that a possibility?
Oh, sorry, I'm just a bit confused with the flow of questions.
Okay,
Can you repeat it?
the previous participant, he was asking about how do we summarize a PDF, my PDF, how do I summarize it, right? How do I ask LLM to?
No, I haven't asked how to summarize it. I was asking, is this regarding to the summarization of a particular document? The Open API is providing some set of APIs, and you want to embed our somebody asked about a private data set, right? About a company sales report, something. You want to find some analysis, do some questions asked on that particular context. You can't say, send it out your data to the OpenAI public thing. So you are basically asking, yeah, I'm making this document as a vector data, and sharing it with you, and you find your your previous existing knowledge to see the correlation within this specific data set, the vector. Is that my definition right?
Not the previous knowledge. It's okay. I do not know. Okay, maybe not the previous knowledge. The
No, no,
knowledge.
I was asking to the presenter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your thought is correct.
Yeah, thank you. And somebody asked about a question about the LangChain and RAG. Could you look into that?
Yeah. Yes.
What is
Actually,
the
due to
difference
time,
between?
LangChain and RAG, LangChain is a library, with which we can like you use it for we can use our models, and like which acts as an interface between your LLM and your usage. Whereas RAG is a technique where you can like we'll give in the context so that the LLM will take that context as an input and will try to generate. This RAG is a technique, whereas Lang is a library. That's the difference.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so let me go ahead. We have short in time, so I'll just go ahead. So what are the benefits of RAG here? So we have 4 unique benefits. First one is enhance and updatable memory. So RAG, for every time, if you need any if you want to update your model, like if it wants to answer some particular query, every time training a model becomes more costly, training or fine tuning it becomes more costly. So this RAG will helps us provides enhanced and updatable LLM memory and improved contextuality. Like RAG will give you documents, so the context is prevalent. Like it will gives you a very good contextual understanding. By the retriever part of that RAG technique, the RAG embedding, the embeddings that we have stored here, and the retriever which retrieves the embedding, that context will help the LLMs to provide better context to the prompt that we have. Next is the source citations. So with the help of the RAG, the LLM will we can also query the LLMs to provide the source at which the LLM has referred to, and it can provide the source at which it is referred. And also reduced hallucination. So we have been hearing about hallucinations quite a while, like about LLMs generating its own answers as if it's known. So by giving a context, proper context to it, LLMs can reduce hallucinations with the help of RAG. So we have few hands-on prepared. So I'll just quickly send this in chat.
We have a question in chat regarding the RAG architecture diagram.
Okay.
By
So there is a bidirectional arrow. That question. Which question?
Yeah, that one, bidirectional arrow question.
Okay, there is a bidirectional arrow between semantic search and vector DB. Does that mean semantic search is also used for updating the DB? Okay. Actually, it's not. Semantic search will not update the DB. So it's something wrong. It just takes the while searching it. So what does the two-way arrow means? The prompt is going to the DB, and then the embeddings are taken from the relevant documents are taken from the DB. So that is what the two-way arrow means here. I think that answers Rohit's question. Yes. Okay. So yeah, a few hands-on plan. So I'll just share the link. So I'll quickly go through the notebook. So here in the notebook, what we are trying to do is we will be using C transformers library to import the open sourced model. So we'll be using 3D GGML model, which uses C transformers, and then we'll be hosting it. So this model has been already hosted, so we'll host it in Hugging Face. So we'll just leverage that model here, and then we'll just interact with it with the prompt, and then we'll go for a with the help of the documents. So we'll have a document here, which is a tech radar document. So we'll take the tech radar document and then we'll try to ask a specific question from the document and check if the LLM on its own is able to answer the question. And after that, we'll do RAG on top of it, and then we'll ask the question to it. So you will also have a task here to check on your own. So you can move ahead and continue the answer. I think it's clear. Anyone has any questions? Over to you, Anusha. Like, you can create breakout room for 15 minutes.
Folks, is everyone clear about the task?
Yes.
Quick show of hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, raise
So
hand.
yes.
Sohil, you have a question?
Okay, just raise this answers.
Yeah, cool.
Can you please repeat that? Yeah. So the uh task is to write a prompt from the this is the TechRadar document that you will be using to as a context to your that you'll be giving to the LLM, and then you just have to write a query that corresponds to this LLM and try check if it is able to give it on its own. So we have just given the uh, cell also. You just have to add a proper query here and check if it is able to give it on your own. Else you can add the same query here and check after RAG how it's performing. So the data will be you can run the cells and then with this itself you will be able to take the data on your own. Is that answer your question, Jyoti?
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Hanusha, can you clear the breakout rooms quickly?
Okay, sure. Same like before.
Yeah.
All right. I will open
And add the timer for 15 minutes so that we can.
Okay, timer for 15 minutes. Open all tools. Yeah, folks, you can accept the request and join the rooms.
Not sure what your full name is, but I see BK in.
Sorry, I was in mute. So my question is more on the collabs, the Python notebook that we are creating here, right? So each and every notebook has its own models required to run our LLMs. So if we need to add more modules, we can use the same pip install where we can able to execute that in the second step. That means the dependency libraries needs to be always, we can get added based on our own need to build the LLMs, correct? Is that my understanding is correct, first of all?
Yes,
Aishwarya.
so actually, some packages like NumPy, Pandas, and all doesn't need to be installed. So those are all available ready-made from Colab itself.
Okay.
But some packages that we need extra, we need to install it using pip install.
Okay. So when I execute this pip, I got one error. It says the pip dependency resolver does not currently take into account for all packages that are installed. This behavior is the source of LIDA 0.0.10. Python multipart, which is not installed. There is some libraries which is throwing in an error where we can ignore this. I mean,
no, if the error comes, the packages won't be installed, right? So that dependency package also you need to install it before installing the package.
let's say it's just reported there is one dependency which is throwing in an error, seems Kelidio. Is that I can able to install this particular package or dependency alone using the pip install?
Yes.
Using that command?
Yes, you can. If it is available on the Python hub, you can install it. Or if it is kind of what to say, if it has to be installed using apt-get, you'll have to check where that package would be available.
Got it.
Right. Yeah, cool. We can have two showcases. Any volunteers to share screen? Sultan, you wanted to present last time.
Sorry, like I'm just trying with the task. Pallavi will raise the hand. She will.
Yeah, sure.
start with-
Yeah, sure.
Sure, Pallavi, yes.
Yeah. So for the task, I asked like, what is Kushto query language? So without giving context, it was saying that it is not able to tell in better way. But when I like given the context, like here it is able to understand through RAG, like RAG. So like got the idea of this.
Cool. Really nice.
Yeah.
One more volunteer to showcase. Anyone?
I can show it.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
So here I won't show the previous steps, right? That brought in the libraries or dependencies. So the failure one, I asked this question, okay, what is the command I use for? Then basically I went to the CSV file also to see
Okay.
what the knowledge base it has. It talks about the workflow engine command also. So that's why I picked up that word and then I asked what is command I use for? Then without reg, it said, okay, I'm sorry, I don't know, right? It says command not commonly known something. Then when the document was provided, and then the same query, okay, this is basically vector DB search, right? This is showing, okay, this is the place. But when I did the query, and then query remains same, what is the command I use for? And context is that document as a reg, and here I got the answer.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Janani, over to you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Uh, So we have seen about RAG and ANSOM. Next, the third level, which is we'll use LLMs. We'll use the context as a knowledge graphs, and then we'll give that to the LLMs to query with the knowledge graphs, and then give it as an output. So this is what we'll do. That is the third stage. This will help us to much better. The context is presented much better here, and then the querying will also becomes easier here. Next, the fourth part is the fine tuning. So fine tuning is the most crucial, like it comes the last stage, because fine tuning is that you are going to retrain your the LLM with some more context on it, so that it should be able to understand it completely, and you're reducing the amount of you're just not reducing, you're just specifying, you're just making the LLM to know more about a specific task, rather than being it aware of all the required context that it needs. So that is what we're going to see in fine tuning. So about the LLM strategies, as I said, we have three. One is prompt engineering, RAG, and fine tuning. Three of them can be used in a separate, can be used in a better way based on the use case that you wanted to uh, like use this technique for. Like for prompt engineering, it is very easy to work with. You can create faster prototypes with it, and we can able to fine tune prompts with zero shot and few shot and things like that. So zero shot is, if you give a single prompt, the LLM should be able to answer. If you give it a few shot, then you're trying to help LLM to give a proper output. That is with helps with respect to prompt engineering. Whereas RAG, as is mentioned before, we'll have external data sources um, uh, to help the LLM to provide more accurate output. Then we have dynamic knowledge. So not the knowledge is not specific to whatever the LLM has learned during the training phase of it. So it will have dynamic knowledge, and the uh, the knowledge is also real time. Whatever the sources that we gave, it will be a real time sources, and it will help in providing better output. Whereas fine tuning, where it is used is if you want your model to know about specific domain knowledge, specific words, it should be aware of the specific sentences, and a same word can be used in multiple contexts. So your model should be able to correctly identify that word correspond to a particular meaning in this particular domain. So that is where you go for fine tuning, and it will narrow the model's behavior, and then it will give more predictable outputs with respect to the similar domain. So these are all some LLM strategies. So we'll deep dive into fine tuning next. Over to Aishwarya.
Yeah, thank you, Janani. So due to time constraints, we'll just brush upon when we should use fine tuning and when we should not use fine tuning. Share screen. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, on the wrong slide. Yeah. So when we should like when or why or when we need to fine tune a LLM model, because like in some situations we would need customization that is like specific to our domain knowledge. Like let's say like someone wants the LLM to answer retail based questions perfectly, and so in those cases we'll have to customize the model by fine tuning it. And like if there are sensitive compliance like issues, then we need to fine tune it. And domain specific knowledge, as I mentioned before, and to improve user experience, like to give more appropriate like results to the particular audience who is addressing it. So in these scenarios, we would need a LLM to be fine tuned. And next, like going through when we don't need to fine tune, like some considerations that we have to keep in mind before going to fine tuning. So fine tuning introduces an additional layer of complexity, and so it is we need to understand whether that additional layer of complexity is required for our use case. And we should hold it off until we have evidence that fine tuning takes obviously takes some extra effort, some cost, because we'll have to though like it is quicker, and it saves some cost rather than training it from scratch. But it is still an investment, so we need to validate whether it is required. So, and in context learning approaches can take a long way. So like the methods that we discussed till now, like the zero shot learning, the few shots learning, the RAG, and these in context learnings, like providing the context in the prompt, can also help instead of doing fine tuning. And RLHF is an approach where the model learns by feedback from the user. So if you see, like in ChatGPT, we have the feedback option, right? We can either give a thumbs up or thumbs down if the given thing is not appropriate. Like ChatGPT, while they were developing it, they had a huge number of people validating their models to check whether it is not giving inappropriate results like what to say, like privacy concerns or some content that should not be shared. So those kind of things were validated by the users, and so that goes as a feedback to the model. So this is reinforcement learning by human feedback. So this process is a complex and resource intensive process. So we should think before whether we need to fine tune it. Yeah, so just to summarize what we have gone through till now, we have gone through first, while experimenting with Hugging Face, we went through like direct out of the box pre-trained models, and then we went to RAG, and then we saw like how to use RAG to use it for the specific use cases, and the next one is using LLM fine tuning. So all of this we have done. So this is plotted across across the human pairing and guardrails needed. So when there is no privacy concern, or that like I won't say no privacy concerns, but it doesn't matter whether we need specific considerations that we saw in for fine tuning, then we can directly go with out of box trained models, and then RAG in the next case and the next case. So where the x-axis shows the human intervention required and the guardrails required, and the y-axis shows the time to market and the complexities in the resource level. So pausing here for any questions. Prasanna is asking for how good the models are. Okay, Rajan has answered.
No, I didn't answer. Actually, I had a question, right? How do we create a LLM in our own native language, right? It's all now English or some European language. How do we do it for our regional ones?
Okay, so basically we'll have to, I think there are some models that provide in Tamil as well, and ChatGPT also I've seen it, like if we ask it to give it in Tamil, it gives, though the grammar is not so proper, since it was trained like all over internet data, it has some knowledge, but if we need it very specific, then it has to be trained on that data. Think from scratch, I think. Not sure whether we can use it in
To any of that happen, we have to have a structured data of the regional language content on every topic. For that, we need to at least update Wikipedia, which is not updated very frequently in regional languages. Only quite a couple of languages are active in Wikipedia. Rest of that too only description level, not to the full content. So even if you build up a language, you lack data.
Yes. Gopinath is asking a question: can RAG or Vector DB work in joining different contexts, like product customer, where LLM can answer list of product inventory and custom stat, as well as, yeah, this can be done, since we're like providing an Excel sheet and asking it to answer from that. In the similar way, we can provide like the data. You want to add, Janani?
Yeah, you answered it. Yeah, you can give the context. Here, the context is the product customer interaction. So you can very well give that as a context, and then you can query the require queries you want to, like want from the data.
We have a raised hand. Is Suhil?
Yeah, Aishwarya, thank you. So I have a question, which is like, what would be like the real-time scenarios which you would work on deep learning and LLMs? As in, the reason I'm putting this question is because there is a huge gap between self-learning, academic learning, and industry experience, right? So in that perspective, what are some scenarios we'll be working on with perspective to LLMs and RAG and all these things we discussed?
Yeah, Janani, you want to take that up?
Yeah, generative AI is coming up. It's taking its own pace. So if I can specifically touch upon deep learning, you can very well concentrate on computer vision and NLP, like anything like from language translation to anything. Like you can use generative AI for language translation, but yeah, anything from language translation to computer vision technique, requirements like object detection, like from like you get to work on diverse use cases in these specific topics. So set your base clear, so that you have these knowledges to work on any set of use case that comes to you. I think it's a very generic answer, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's put this question in this way. For any organization, right, there is one risk. There is an enterprises risk should aware, right? For each and every uh, specific domain or any organization which is belongs to this enterprises risk management. Okay, so each and every organization is going to be manage this risk always. So and the business nature is totally different altogether. If that is the case, so each and every model, if you are going to be creating a model for an organization, respective to the business nature and the risk management for that particular business, okay, the model could be different always. Where we can able to create our own model for that organization to manage to give the um, better uh, how can we say this, okay, because this ERM is going to be, see, you guys are aware about the ERM, right, enterprise risk management. This will give about the future of your organization, where the organization is ahead, okay, based on that uh, the operations or that org CEOs can work along with that to see how we can able to mitigate the risk. So for that we can able to build those models based on their business nature. Can we take as this as an use case to proceed, right? Because you just about tell about the generic, but I tell about the specific case here. Is this case can fit for this generate AU model where we can able to proceed? Janani or Aishwarya, anyone can able to tell, because I just thinking something on this space basically. But I just want to hear out from you guys, since you guys are be top in this space. So just suggest me.
Yes, we can take that up. That's a good, yeah, that's a good use case for using this.
Okay.
I think he is asking about more insight about that use case.
Exactly. I'm just getting that, but there is a
Yes.
lot of things is required to know where we can start, how we can start, because we know how this enterprise risk is happening, but where I need to start that basically, right? That is a question. I put this case, but I just hear out from you that mean how we can start this basically.
You want to start from scratch, building your own model?
It's not required, right? Because
Yes,
its
exactly.
ARM is there already. Okay,
Yes.
but how? Because right, if take telecommunication, or if take for finance, take for e-commerce, each and every thing is own business, right? Because but the risk is different for the each and every space, basically, right?
Yes.
How I can able to mitigate the risk? That is the question. Okay, for that I can build a model for that.
Actually,
Because
that's where they are giving started giving customized API models for each domain. I think recently they start launching couple of separate products in their line. I'm
product in the
talking about
sense.
OpenAI. They are offering some specific the DSL models for this, but I'm not sure. I haven't heard after that. Hear about that after that.
From
I'm not sure.
argument from argument's sake, right?
Mhm.
Any business, if you take, it won't fit for tools basically. Okay, the tool is going to be give the generic solution always, but specific, right? If you talk about risk is nothing but it's an issue for your organization. If they do that, or if they are envisioning the issue is going to be happen for your organization, it's loss for your business, loss for your brand, loss for money, everything is going to be lost if there is a risk that they are identifying, right? Because
Yes.
if you are talking about e-commerce, finance, telecommunication, it's a different space, different things may can happen, right? Because the input is different, the output is also different, but end of the day there is no business for them, correct?
Exactly. Actually,
So
to have for this to happen, there should be some basic criteria. The company
correct.
should have a solid workflow. I mean, what is their structure and what are the data structure? They have to have a
Exactly,
method of
that requires a lot
for
of
a decade at least, and they have to have a training model, and they have to have a right plan for that. And I mean, to have that, they have to have a data store which can compromises of all the
agreed.
data for that lifespan. Otherwise, it is going to be a hallucinating model.
I completely agree on that, but I'm just looking where I can
No,
see this thing.
so far, for an organization that we have right now, only a few things get recorded, and even if you are closing a deal, there are a lot of details that are under the rag.
Hmm,
Pun intended.
completely. Because
You
I'm
only
saying,
get to
right,
see what is legal and publicly disclosable detail, and there are a lot goes in, and you can't get the risk out of it.
see these things are we can't able to build these models for public. This model is going to be built for your organization, right?
Exactly.
If
See,
I'm
what I'm saying is, if you are building a CRM or a lead generation thing, you get to see who are the leads and other things. When
okay,
you get have a lead and what happened to that lead, why that particular lead is not converting, that is a different domain altogether, I think, because it has to do with your management. I mean, marketing team, sales team, and how they are interacting with the leads, right?
correct, correct.
So
See, correct, because everything is going to become under. I mean, whatever you're talking, right? Sales, market, operation, uh, mm, credit, everything is going to become
unless
flow to your.
both end are having the it is like smart contracts, I would say. You bind to a contract and you have to deliver that, and similarly the other end also keep their bargain.
Hmm,
Otherwise, it is not going to work.
okay, okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
No,
uh,
I just putting my sense. It is not a conclusion that it can't be
no.
done. I'm saying what are the
I completely agree.
limitations. The possibilities are always there, but the thing is, people are not seeing the limitations that they have. If they see a possibility, they jump in right away. They are not seeing the limitation and why it can't be done, what needs to be done. That is the second thing they are missing.
See, that's what, right? Limitations we don't have
Yes.
basically. GenAI is a space where you can able to put any cases
Mhm.
in day-to-day activities, what is happening around us, right?
Yes.
So yeah, might be mean if there is any key context that we have where we can able to group together to discuss further about this case. I mean, I'm just willing to have this more sessions, but how we can build this, because risk is one of the pain area for each and every organization. If they can mitigate or they can, because models will tell uh, and predict that risk, what is going to be happen around us. If this going to be drive this organization in this path, might be could be the risk for them. They may can able to lose the business. This is
Yes, actually, to put this in a way, to reach a moon, we built something and we landed there. It is a breakthrough. After that, we haven't done that because we don't have what it takes, and it is a high risk one, and we delivered that. And after that, if you are thinking about other factors and whatever we have learned in that expedition, we know that we need a lot further.
Mm.
So, and we have to go there, we have to build those things first to land there safely. Right. So exactly this is what I might take. To have that what you are asked for, we have to build the data and we have to build the model and have the both ends bind to a particular contract or something like that.
Okay. Okay. So let's collect the data first, then we can start on this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it, Ganesh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Janani
Yeah,
Aishwarya,
that
for
was a
the
nice
great
question.
session. Yeah. Thanks, Ganesh.
And
But
I
still,
have
like,
one question for Dr.
still,
Sundar.
I'm looking for an answer. How to start, how to start. But I do keep to explore this. Okay. But
Okay.
it's a really good session, Janani Aishwarya, for your time to sharing those details. It's really helpful for me where I can able to start these things.
Yeah. Thank you
And
so
I
much.
have a question for Aishwarya and Janani. How you are practicing AI in ThoughtWorks? I am curious to know.
Janani, you want to go first?
Yeah, so we have so in ThoughtWorks we have projects that leverages AI, like the different projects, and also we have communities that is running inside ThoughtWorks specific to AI and ML, where we'll explore more on the coming up new trending technologies, and we'll come up with prototypes that we can showcase it to our clients. and and we'll have few active sessions that we run more internally and externally, where we'll showcase all our learnings. So this is how we drive our ML AI passion in ThoughtWorks.
Okay.
Actually, you want to add anything?
Yeah, like Janani is part of like automated vehicle initiative of ThoughtWorks, and yeah, she's working on. She was working directly on the ML part, and she has participated in a lot of competitions as well. I'm part of the AI community in the Coimbatore office, so yeah, I'm learning from that.
So
Okay.
we also get opportunities to participate in competitions and all. So that's how we improve our knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And will these recordings will be available to anyone?
Anusha.
Yeah, we'll be uploading it to YouTube, Ganesh.
Okay.
We'll share the link to that to all the participants. That's how we usually do. So
Okay.
we'll be sharing it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And will there be a follow-up session for any of this?
Yeah, if any topics you would like us to, we can take
Please
it up.
add it in the feedback or drop a
Yeah.
message to us somewhere so that we can see if we can take up a follow-up session on the same. Like if you have any suggested topics, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If there is any one session where we can able to single model, it could be in a work group session that could be helpful for us. When I can add that in the same in ideation feedback portal.
Single model in the sense,
It's a one simple model that I want to create.
A foundation model like
Might be
GPT.
whatever.
Okay. Expecting practice session for me. Actually, we had one plan for fine tuning, but due to time constraint, we were not able to cover.
The level 3 and 4, right?
Yeah, the fine tuning session we were not able to cover. That's
yeah. So fine tuning, we had demo in mind. We were planning to give a demo, but
we're not able to cover.
not a hands-on. But we can maybe have a separate session.
The session.
Yeah, so far we have done a very good job, I think, guys.
Okay.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you,
all.
the audience, asking a lot of questions, and it was
Yeah, it was very
One
interactive. Thank you so much.
one suggestion to the organization: can you make this chat available even if I go back and come again, because it I kind of losing context and links.
Okay. Yeah, I think that option is not available.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's available. If we leave the meeting once, the chat gets automatically deleted. I don't think I have control over that.
Okay.
How
I saw
about
it somewhere. I thought of asking. Usually, I use Jitsi or some other thing. I never used Zoom, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay. Okay. I don't think Zoom is that.
I think you can extract the chat as a PDF. Maybe you can send if you can.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you for the idea. Probably you are not disconnected, right?